Moving on, last week you'll recall that Sandy gave a report on stillbirth and indeed what are called stillborn baby payments in Australia. Now, the situation has evolved somewhat since then, but just before we have a look at that, we'll go to Sandy for a very brief synopsis as to what she was reporting last week.
Thanks, Charles. Yes, I came across this last week, and it looks as though the Australian government are kind of covertly encouraging, incentivizing women to have abortions, late-term abortions, 20 weeks plus, and they're giving them an initial payment of $4,200 or $300, and then after that, because the baby is killed in utero, they are given birth to a stillborn child. And because it's a stillborn child, there is another payment that they can get, which is $22,000 for a parental leave payment, so that they can, for grieving for up to 18 months. So that is the way that it's and Services Australia are encouraging women to take these payments and giving them all the apparatus to do so, all the forms to fill in. And what's happened really is that midwives and doctors and nurses are getting very, very stressed, because they have to, because the paperwork is crucial. It is literally saying, yes, you have got a stillborn child, you're entitled to this, even though they have willingly aborted their child. So it's down to the paperwork, basically. Is if the paperwork is there and it's been signed off by the medical profession, who are having to do that, otherwise they lose their jobs, and they're traumatized by it, then the payments go through.
Thanks, Sandy. And this has caused sufficient stink, quite rightly, for a question to have been asked in the Australian Parliament, which we'll just have a look at. This is from Pauline Hanson.
Why is it made to women who deliberately abort a baby? Minister, this policy risks creating a financial incentive for late-term abortion, where Australian women can terminate a pregnancy up to the day before birth. They can terminate a pregnancy up to the day before birth, allowing women to receive a lump sum payment and access to paid parental leave of up to $22,754. Why is the Albanese government funding the murder of healthy babies, some left to die in a kidney dish for up to 5 hours?
So that was the question, and the minister who had the unenviable task of responding said this.
Well, the answer to that question is the same as to my earlier question. There are laws in this country around termination of pregnancy. They are laws that are regulated by the states and territories, and I support those laws. One of the reasons I got into politics was to ensure that women had the right to make choices about their own reproductive health. I accept that some people disagree with my views on that, and with laws in states and territories that provide the regulatory arrangements around that. Now, in relation to the stillborn baby payment, as I said, and as it relates to other payments, including PPL, evidence is required, documentation is required before those payments are made. In relation to the stillborn baby payment, that includes certification from someone attending the birth, a health professional attending the birth, that the birth was of a stillborn child. That is the documentation that's made or required in order to receive that payment.
Now, she is absolutely trying to evade the question, and UK Column got in touch with Services Australia directly, and they too absolutely tried to evade the question. They sent a statement saying it was attributable, and in that text said that government recognises the tragic loss and trauma of stillbirth. They said a medical professional is responsible for determining if the definition of a stillborn baby is met for the purposes of the stillborn baby payment. And that is at the crux of this, because, of course, if the way in which a fetus is extracted after being terminated constitutes still a stillbirth as far as the medical professional is concerned, then indeed the system may be manipulated. Then Services Australia go on to say that claims are assessed on the basis of evidence and documentation provided by a medical professional. A medical professional is responsible for considering the cause of death. So in other words, Services Australia, they're washing their hands of any further investigation into the matter as to exactly what it was that the medical professional had written up and why. And then they go on to say, as though to cast one's attention elsewhere, they say for circumstances that are not a stillbirth, such as termination of pregnancy, supports are available through Services Australia, including counselling and support to connect with local services, by which they mean if it's been written up as a termination rather than an abortion. Than a stillbirth. So Services Australia very much avoiding the question here, and indeed they refused on a follow-up inquiry. They absolutely refused to answer any further questions about this. They, exactly as Sandy reports, they are without doubt incentivising late-term abortions by the waiving of money for exactly this type of procedure. Now, moving on, UK Column is a phenomenal research resource, and I hope you are able to use the website to its greatest effect, whether or not you're a member, by searching first for it, making sure that you're looking through all the various sections, and indeed going down to the comment on the home page. If you would like to join us as a member, the front page will guide you through that, whether you'd like to do it on a monthly, annual, or indeed lifetime basis. Now, the interview that went out yesterday was Diane Rasmussen-McCaddy speaking to Louise Payton on holistic health. So please do go back and listen to that. That's gone out well. And just up now is an article by Jobst Landgrube, which is on evil, power, and artificial intelligence. You may have read Jobst's articles to date on AI, and indeed this is very, very incisive, but of course makes that distinction between what is or is not possible in relation to the human programming side of it. And then we've got coming up tonight, Germ talking to Carl Zar on Trump making India great again this time. And then going out tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I am speaking to Alex Thompson on a question of faith, and in particular, why did the Church of England go wrong? We only had 60 minutes, but we covered a fair amount of ground. So I really would encourage you to listen to that. And in terms of what's coming up, we are still very much looking forward to seeing you in person, we hope, at our event in York, where we have Andrew Wakefield speaking, and indeed you will have access to his film Protocol 7, whether or not you join us in person or via the live stream. Now, as well as Andrew Wakefield, Tess Laurie will be there, and a great volume of the tickets have gone already, so please don't delay too long in committing to that. Just a reminder, there will also be a good social event in the evening, so we really hope to see you there, and if you can't make it, do please join us on the live stream to that.